Hello, Amplify. My name is Rachel Bethany, and I lead customer success at Amplitude for our Asia Pacific region from Singapore. In my over 3 years at Amplitude, I've had the pleasure to work with clients from across the globe and really to witness personally the product pioneers who push the limits in every market of the world. Today, I'm really pleased to be joined by Shally, who is co founder and head of product at Pratilipi, a platform that has seen really impressive growth over the last 6 years. Shally and I met for the first time just a little over a year ago at a conference table in her office in Bangalore. Shally, welcome. Thank you for being here. I wanted to start off by asking if you could just give us a little bit of an introduction to Pratilipi as a company.
Thank you, Rachel. So Pratilipi is India's largest UGC storytelling platform where we are serving on an average around 25 million monthly active users who are creating and consuming content in across 12 Indian languages. Uh, we have preliminary three products. Our main product is where people come and write their stories in the first language, and then there are readers who will be consuming the stories in choice of the language. Similarly, we have Pratilipi Comics and FM, where format of content creation and consumption is comics and audio.
And so Pratilipi has seen really huge growth over the last 6 years, but you guys are a pretty lean team. So, what would you say has set you up for successful growth as a business?
Yes, as you mentioned, Rachel, we are a very small team, but we are very data driven, relatively speaking. So we one thing we made sure from very beginning of we started off the company that across the company all the functions all the team would have enough data accessibility. So in their day-to-day life, whatever trade-offs or decisions they are taking in an informed way. And so collectively across the company, all the teams are aligned and prioritizing that what matters when it boils down to user impact and what matters when it boils down to user experience. And we are achieving company goal at in a better way.
So, let's talk about decision making. Broadly speaking, how do you guys make product decisions at Pratilipi?
So, making product decisions has many aspects, but one particular I would like to talk about. So, we often come across this contrarian views where people talk about that the feedback we got on products we are building basically comprises of two thought schools, where one very strongly believes that talking to users and taking interviews makes a lot more sense than looking into data, while the other part says that just looking into behavioral cohorts, just looking into analytics gives us a lot of understanding. At Pratilipi, it's not this one is right or this one is wrong. For us, at this scale, we can't just talk to users and come to inferences. We have to look into the impacted behavior from where we basically are getting the understanding out of user queries that these are the experiences which are not serving good, and then just look into the impacted behavior. So for us, it's the hybrid approach which works best, and this basically help us not just deciding on how much time we should be giving to what, but also it helps us really prioritizing the product roadmap in a better way that in what phase wise manner what we should be building at what time in a way that it will give us the most best user experience and will give us help us achieve the best top line numbers.
Yeah, so I want to dig into one piece that you mentioned. You talked about that it's important both to know your users from a data driven side, but also the qualitative perspective. Why is that so important for you?
Correct. So one such example I would like to quote here in 2018, as I mentioned earlier, that we have a lot of internal communication where user-generated reports keep coming to in. And we, as a team, we have micro team setups where different functions from a back-end developer or a full-stack developer or an Android developer or a designer. They form a pod, and collectively we are trying to solve a problem for a certain time duration. So collectively we just go through all of these queries so that we can figure out if user experience, probably what users are feeling and how they are talking about product at uh, how they are feeling about the product. So one such example in 2018, when we were going through all of this query, we came across a lot of users are talking about that the stories they are reading are not complete or they are not full. So when we give you a context here on Pratilipi, we have individual content published, which is on an average is of around 1500 to 2000 words long. Now, when you look at the content, these contents are not incomplete. So, what these users were talking about. So, when we looked into data, we got the idea that writers had started writing individual parts as episodic stories. So, what they did was they were writing first part and then second part as an individual content and third part as an individual content. So, readers who were coming on the platform across the recommendations, they were coming across these random parts and they were not getting the full story, and so they were coming across with the queries that the stories are incomplete. So then when we talk to the engineering team, can we probably give the better experience here? So I got the idea that this is a huge backend change if you wish to give a better experience in a much more serialized manner, where these random parts would be connected and would be served as an episodic story. So would take around 2 3 months of time. So then it was a question that should we be investing this much of time before even rolling out, when we do not have enough confidence that it's not just betterment of the user experience, but also if this is going to help us achieve any top line in significantly better way. So what we did was we just did a quick hack. We did hypothesis validation. Overnight, we released out this feature that at the bottom of the part, you will see this is the next part. You can continue reading the next part here. When we rolled out this experiment, we saw that within 2 3 days of time that people who were exposed to this experiment, they were their average session duration on the client was significantly, that is almost 3x better than the control. So that gave us some confidence that okay, it's worth investing time. And so when we improved the experience over a 2 3 months of time, and when we rolled out this feature, we saw that it clearly impacted our top line. Our top line, when I talk about for Pratilipi, our North Star metric for reader side is finished story per user per day. So when we did not have this experience at that time, it was 3.5 to 4 finished stories per user per day. While when we launched out this feature for this particular cohort who was undergoing this experiment, for them it was 18 reads per day per user. And at top line, it moved from 3.5 to 9, which was almost 2.5 to 3x. So that's how significantly the top line moved. So when we take both the approaches in, and when we infer in a way that we are also taking into consideration user queries, and then look into the impacted behavior and come out with the solution. And before even that, just validating the hypothesis one more time to be super sure actually help us achieve the uh, holistic picture and the outcome much better way.
Shally, that's great. I really love how you guys closed the loop and went through the full product development cycle, understanding, where there was room for change, measuring the impact on the smaller metrics, but then also having an idea of what is our North Star, what is the overall business impact we're going for, and then measuring that you got from 3.5 all the way to 9 finished stories per day on average. So thank you so much. I think that's all the time that we have, but I appreciate you sharing your story, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Rachel.